unfortunately, I didn't get around to watching the Boruto episode like the way that I wanted to, which, that's okay. That tends to happen, especially on this day of occasion. It just wasn't in my control to be able to get around to watching the episode like the way that I wanted to, but that's fine. I eventually got around to doing it and I watched it. And there was a point in the episode that I'm actually going to mention in a little bit that I had to send to a couple of friends of mine because I thought it was really weird that they had this inclusion within the episode, and the device that was given to Boruto in the episode to kind of show off to the audience. I thought it was a little funny and it reminded me of another franchise, and I was like, I gotta send this to a couple of friends of mine. One of them started talking about this stupid conversation about Dragon Ball doing something similar, and I was just telling them, like, why would they ever have something like this ever in this show, because it doesn't make any fucking sense to have. And then the other one was kind of, a little upset by it. I wouldn't say upset, but he was a little not with it. He wasn't laughing at it, but he wasn't like, oh, that's so cool, whatever. He was kind of just like, why did they have this inclusion within the episode? Kind of like I was. And I started talking to him a little bit about it, and I think I kind of convinced him to start trying to get back into the show, especially with the current arc that the show is kind of building up now with Kara. Something I didn't really talk about previously before within a couple of past episode reviews is that I kind of like the idea that Boruto right now is kind of hearkening and echoing the audience's opinions in a way that I only now just kind of noticed, because maybe I just kind of didn't really see it because I've been watching the show for a few years now, and this has kind of been a thing that's been foreshadowing since like the beginning of the show, that ninja tools were going to be a thing that were going to be slowly coming into the show progressively more and more, and it was going to become a lot more of a consistent thing that was going to be slowly brought in as a thing that people are going to be using a lot more frequently, right? And it's not like characters in the show haven't been using some sort of ninja tool to begin with, like kunai and smoke bombs and stuff like that, but in this case it's scientific ninja tool. It's technology. This is something entirely new to Boruto as a show overall than what we had before. And the fact that technology is a lot more prevalent in this show than it was in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. There wasn't really any technology. Everything was just done either manually or through the use of ninjutsu. And it seems like something that they're wanting to introduce and make as a main thing within this show for Boruto is scientific ninja tools, and the fact that they're using technology in placement of previous ninja tools that they used before, in place of different jutsu that's been used before. Like in this episode, for an example, they created the scientific ninja tool facility place that they were going to. They created these like gloves and shoes that allows people to be able to walk and crawl onto walls without the use of having to use their chakra. And Boruto is echoing what the audience is probably saying themselves to the screen, that why would you ever use that when you could just go ahead and use your chakra to be able to climb up the wall to begin with? But then Mitsuki points out that in this case, whenever you're using this type of tool, you don't have to expend too much energy to be able to concentrate on being able to walk on walls while you're doing like fireball jutsus, Rasengans, water dragon jutsus and shit. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to be a conscious thing to be pointing chakra towards your feet so you can cling onto the walls and stay on the walls or on like water and stuff whilst you're trying to fight an opponent. And a similar thing that was there for Naruto in the previous episode was the fact that he had this shinobi prosthetic scientific ninja tool arm that allowed him to be able to absorb chakra and use that in a defensive stance so that he's able to, take down his opponent, which during that event it was Boruto, his son. And I didn't really notice this before, like I was saying, but I kind of like the idea of the fact that Boruto is kind of echoing what the audience has kind of been feeling for a while. I would say there were a few people that have felt this way, where they don't like the whole introduction of technology within the universe. People have always liked and enjoyed more so the fact that everything was all believable in its own sense. Even though, yes, we have motherfuckers who are like creating a mist out of nowhere, who are summoning up, water dragons and stuff. And eventually later on, we see like the tailed beasts and they're shooting off basically nuclear fucking bombs at different opponents and all this stuff. Even like some of the stuff that Orochimaru would be doing within the show of Naruto. There was a believability to it. And now we're at this point where they're introducing technology and science. And I imagine that there are a lot of fans who don't really like the introduction of this, and it's kind of why they're not really with this sort of style of where the show is going, like how my friend is. And the whole point of why they're kind of doing this right now is to get the audience members who are watching the show to understand that ninja tools, scientific ninja tools, are an okay thing to have, and it all depends on the way that you use it. Like the way that so far that our main cast has been using it, they've been using it in not in a malicious way, whereas Kara, they've been using it in such a malicious way to their own self-benefit instead of the benefit of others, which is the whole point of why Boruto decided to go along and deliver this scientific ninja tool prosthetic arm that Naruto was using, because in his mind, he's justified its existence being that if it helps the benefit of not only just the Hidden Leaf Village, but of that of the whole entire world, then maybe there can be some leniency in that, and maybe there's a way to where we can have this be accepted. And I like that. I kind of like how the show is trying to slowly bring in the audience's engagement with the idea of scientific ninja tools and what their uses can be, and what the uses that could also be for acts of evil. I just think it's really interesting how they kind of brought this topic of conversation, and I've only just kind of now really realized what they're doing, and I think it's pretty cool. But other than that, the whole episode is just kind of like Boruto, Sarada, Mitsuki, and Kitatsuke bring the shinobi scientific prosthetic arm that they had over to a scientific ninja tool facility where they can do some further testing on that. They introduce a new character. I don't remember her name, and I don't really want to butcher her name right now because it's not really important, but they brought in potentially people's new waifu, which is fine. But we see Sumire again. I think that's cool. It's been a while. I said this in the previous video, but Sumire, we haven't seen her in a while, and I thought it was cool. Just kind of seeing her interact with the cast a little bit more. It kind of seems like she's going to be a lot more prevalent, because she mentions how she's going to be going back to the Hidden Leaf Village with the other main professor that we've been seeing for the past couple episodes. And that's cool, I guess. Further on in the episode, we see Team 7, Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki, testing out further shinobi prosthetics, like the one that I was talking about that allows you to be able to cling onto the walls without having to use your chakra. They also have this other scientific ninja tool where it allows them to essentially be able to float and fly in midair. And I was just like, well, we have Bokujutsu, and then we have Ghetto as Bokujutsu, where if you really want to get your ass caught trying to facilitate an area where you can't really climb over the walls because of security, you can always fly over it, but then you can just get caught super easily by using Ghetto Bokujutsu. So I thought that was really funny. And they also have this other one that Sarada ended up using against Boruto and Mitsuki that I thought was pretty cool, which was basically an upgraded, smoke bomb where there's a flashing light and high-pitched sounds that distorts people's senses. And I thought it was cool. That's a tool that can actually be seen as a tool that can be used in combat. I thought that was interesting. And then the thing that I was talking about before at the beginning of the video, where Katsatsuke brings a fucking handle thing, and he's just like, hey, Boruto, use this, right? Like, put your fingers in, like, this specific position on the handle. And then Boruto, then activates it, and he essentially creates a chakra sword, right? A sword, and, like, the blade is made entirely out of chakra. Like the user's chakra. And I was like, when I was watching the episode, and I explained it to my friends as well, I was like, these bitches literally created a lightsaber in the Naruto universe. I thought that was hilarious. I wasn't really sure what I was looking at, but obviously it doesn't seem like this is going to be a thing we're going to be seeing too often, because he ends up explaining in the episode that it used a lot of his energy, aka his chakra. So it seems like this isn't going to be like a viable thing we're going to be seeing use of very often. We're probably going to be seeing it very little, if at all. I just thought it was funny. I was like, oh look, a lightsaber in the Naruto universe. That's cool. And yeah, just again, they kind of like harken back to other uses of scientific ninja tools. Like they have this little dog in the facility who was a ninja hound, but sadly he couldn't be a ninja hound anymore because he lost one of his legs. And I was like, oh no, poor doggo. But he has a scientific ninja tool as one of his legs to allow him to be able to use that leg again. He seemed a lot happier, and I was like, oh, they're furthering the existence of why shinobi prosthetics could be a thing of existence for people in the world, because of uses like this, where people can finally have a limb back, like their leg, and they can finally walk again, like like they couldn't before. And I like that. I like how there are, people or animals that have these shinobi prosthetics to be able to basically exist again. I think that's really cool. But that's kind of it. The episode kind of just harkens back to Konohamaru and Mugino kind of being in a situation where they're getting attacked by Ao, as we know from previous episodes. And we further see that Kara, the inners within Kara, are skeptical of a potential traitor within the midst of the organization. And at the episode, they either have shown off who is already going to be the traitor, which is, I think, Code. I think that's what his name was. That's what they called him, at least. Either that, or he's just a red herring. He's a red herring to throw off the audience, to make us think that he's going to be the traitor for Kara, but he's actually not. It's someone else. Or they have someone else. I think his name is Boro. And they also mentioned Kashin Koji as well, because they didn't do like some of the testing that Amato was trying to do. I think those two were supposed to be red herrings, and then Code is the actual traitor. But then I started thinking in my head, well, they end off the episode by having Code just kind of, listening in onto conversations that Jigen and Amato are having. And I'm just like, well, he can't be the red herring then, because we have this dude listening in to private conversations that he's not supposed to be a part of. So he has to be the traitor of the organization. I don't know. It's weird. That's just kind of how it ended. And I was like, okay, well, if you're going to create this mystery of a traitor being in the midst of the innards of the organization known as Kara, have it drawn out a little bit longer so we can speculate who it could potentially be. But instead, they're just like, they spoon feed us, and they're like, yeah, this is the villain. This is the traitor with Kara. Yeah, not even the innards within Kara don't like themselves. I don't know. It's weird. It was a weird thing to do, in my opinion. I think they should have just left it ambiguous, but it's fine. That's kind of just how the episode is. I thought it was okay. I think it was an okay episode overall, and I think most of the episode review so far was just kind of talking about Boruto and him echoing the audience. I apologize for that, but that's kind of all I really had to say. That was really all that was on my mind right now. So yeah, that's kind of it. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the video. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you're new, subscribe. For more videos just like this, I'll see you guys next one. Have a fantastic day. I am out. Peace.